Shalom, today is March 13th and we're in day 524 days of the war in Israel. It is also Purim today as Israel is celebrating the Purim holiday. In Yediot Achronot, we read the main headline is Hitkadmut Baderech Lepeima Nosefet. There's progress on the way to another phase. Pigua Yeri Bashamron, there was a shooting terror attack in Samaria. An 18-year-old was injured while driving. An opinion article about Purim, it reads, Gam achshav leharbot b'simcha, even now to continue to rejoice. And Purim is a festive holiday. There's a lot of rejoicing, and it's almost a commandment to rejoice in Purim. And it says, Simcha b'Purim hi mitzvah amitit v'chashuva. To be joyful and rejoicing in Purim is a true, important commandment. And maybe despite the heavy heart and the heavy shadow and the constant distress on us, our wise people were onto something here. Purim in Israel is where many kids and even adults get dressed up, they have fun, they drink, they're merry, they give presents and gifts and tasty sweets one to another, lots of festivals, and this is during a war. I remember last year it was a very, very heavy Purim, and many parents didn't want to send their children to school dressed up and rejoicing because we had so many in captivity, and Israel was in such an intense war. And even now we're in a tense ceasefire. We still have 59 captives in Gaza. Yes, we will see outside Purim is happening, and despite all this, we have a heavy heart, and this author, Itzik Shasho, is saying that it is a complicated Purim. It's another complicated Purim holiday. As we are in war, we have lost many, many people, friends and family members. There is captives still, yet we are joyful and rejoicing in Purim as that is the commandment, and he's saying that is a good thing. Next, Ala Perek, this has to do with the main headline. Ala Perek means happening, may happen. Pe'ima metzumtzemet, a smaller phase. Hamasa u'matan leshichroor chatufim bedocha gvar lo takua. The negotiations that are happening in Doha for releasing of hostages is not stuck anymore. This is according to updates that have arrived to Israel. The chance, though, to release 10 Israeli captives, according to Steve Witkoff's framework or proposal. Steve Witkoff, just to remind you, is the representative of Trump to the Middle East here. Well, the chance for 10 is low, but there's still some optimism towards an opportunity for even smaller phase. And they're saying even 1, 2, 3 captives free, of course, in the price of many prisoners and murderers, Palestinian ones, but even 2, 3 will be worth it, they're saying. Intelligence sources say that Hamas does have an interest in progressing very slowly, a little step by step, even if it's a very, very small phase. It serves them well. They're getting prisoners back, and the ceasefire continues. So we will stay up to date about that. And here in the picture is the last ceremony that Hamas was doing for all of the released hostages. That's the last one. Those hard to watch. Larishona me'az nechtaf. For the first time since he was kidnapped, there is a sign of life from Avinatan Or. Here's Avinatan Or. He was kidnapped on October 7th, together with his girlfriend, Noah Gamani, that most of you have heard of. This is the moment, this is the only sign of life his family got. Sign of life, it's the sign of kidnapped, really. That his family got, and since then, for 523 days, there was no sign of life, but yesterday they got the first one, and the family is relieved because they were believing he was alive, but they did not know for sure. So they're saying, we know for sure now that he's alive, but we're not fighting for signs of life, we're fighting for them to come back. It says, Avinatan Or is held in in a camp in the central part of Gaza in hard conditions. Avinatan means my father has given. Or means light. So it's a beautiful name. My father has given light. May he be released and be fully restored to the Lord together with Noah Gamani. פצוע בינוני בפיגוע ירי בשומרון, and injured 18-year-old in a shooting attack in Samaria. And the IDF, they started a chase after the terrorist that shot a teenager, an 18-year-old boy, while driving in Samaria close to Ariel. Ariel is a Jewish settlement in Judea and Samaria. Yes, the head of the municipality says that this is another hard terror attack, and it reinforces what we are saying over and over again, that we must treat Judea and Samaria as a front, as any other front in Israel. The terror here, he continues, is not just a cluster of random terror attacks. They are organized and they need an appropriate response. Our enemies need to know that they will have to pay a high price, a heavy price, on every attempt to hurt us. And I'll say Ariel, the town near the terror attack, is not just a small Jewish settlement. It's actually a city. It has a university, schools, lots of kids, lots of families, all Jewish, living in the middle of Judea and Samaria. Gdud shel Arayot, a battalion of lions. They're speaking here about a reserve battalion called 8211, a brotherhood that's together since October 7th. And this is under the article Israel b'milchama, Israel's at war. It says they left everything. They've lost friends. They were attacked from very close. They have killed terrorists. They changed the operational security reality in Judea and Samaria. And between the big longing back home and the commitment to protect the country, reservists from Battalion 8211 are 300 days already in war. הרוח שלנו יותר חזקה מהכל. They say our spirit is stronger than anything. We have become a family, and we are here, and we are ready for the next call up, the next round of reserve duty. And here they are, some of them. It says there are actually 500 fighters in this battalion 8211 that left work, left wives, left children, and are keeping Judea and Samaria safe. On October 7th, they did not wait for a reserve duty call called in Hebrew Tzav Shmone. They, on their own initiative, they jumped, you say in Hebrew, him kafzu. They enlisted themselves to the reserve duty, and quickly they were in operational activity. So even though in Israel, when there's a ceasefire, like now there's a tense ceasefire, battles are still happening, in Judea and Samaria especially, because there's no official war in Judea and Samaria. But yeah, soldiers are still serving, wives are still alone, children are still without their fathers, many reservists are still serving. And not all these heroes come back to their families in a good condition mentally, physically. Some of them are injured inside, they've lost close friends, they've seen bad things. The family constantly gets out of balance when they come back home. We pray for their mental health, their whole health, and the family's whole health back to balance. Before we get to the last Purim article, here's another Purim article about the post-trauma people in Israel that are asking the children of Israel, do not use the Purim small fireworks that create an explosive sound. It triggers them. They say, Kol boom shel napatz, every boom of a small explosive firework, machzir oti lamilchama, takes me back to war. And it says, Davka hachag hazeh, despite this festive, happy holiday that is so happy and joyful for so many around Israel, for post-traumatic soldiers or civilians, this is not a happy holiday. There is tension, there is anxiety, and there is hard memories. The sound of the explosives raises all of those triggers. And here it reads, Ani lo me'achel le'af echad lachvot trigger. I do not wish anybody to get a trigger, to experience a trigger, followed by a pitzutz napatz, by an explosive of those small fireworks. The pulse rises, skyrockets, hatzeva yored me'apanim, the color of the face drops. Kol haguf nichnas ledrichut pit'omit. All of the body gets into this sudden tense and matzav chirum, an emergency state. You're sweating, you're furious, you see hallucinations, נדרשות כמה שעות כדי להחזיר את הגוף למצב רגוע. It takes a few hours to get the body back into a calm state, and that's the post-traumatic stress disorder. That is a real thing. So, yeah, they say, לא רוצים לשמוע כזה השנה. Here's a נפץ, those small fireworks, and it reads, לא רוצים, we do not want to hear this year. Here it says, look at them and respect them, they deserve it. This is Kobe Levy and Karen Chizik and Alon Katz that all suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, and there are many, many more in Israel. The number is just increasing. Lastly, Hagiborim Shel Purim, the heroes of Purim, and usually people like to get, the kids like to get dressed up to superheroes. But there's one mom here that explains about her daughter, shares about her daughter. She says, no, I don't want a superhero like Superman. I want to be a real superhero like Emily Damari. Emily Damari is one of the hostage girls that was released not too long ago without her 2 fingers since the kidnapping. Here she is. Here's a girl dressed up to her with her hand bandaged and a cap. And she writes, Hasiyut Nigmar, the nightmare is finished, that she held in the helicopter. Emily Damaris, she signs her name. This is awesome. They say many children came to schools with, you can say, timely costumes. Here's another great one. Witkoff is on Trump's shoulders as the hope of Israel, right? Very symbolic here. But I don't know where the kid is, in here or in Witkoff, not sure. Menuma Romi. This is Romi, the hostage that likes leopard. And here we see a whole classroom got dressed up to the Bibas family with the Batman pajamas, holding the orange balloons that symbolize them. So happy Purim to you. God bless you as you continue to stand with Israel. Please comment down below where you're watching from. What are you praying for? What are you thinking about? Do you celebrate Purim over there? This is Rotem Magen for All Israel News.